For a new challenge, I'm going to play Kenshi as a bunch of torsos. Originally, life will begin in a very difficult setting. Tor squad leader, Tor speed, Tor sword, Tor savage, Tor strange, Tor science, Tor struggle, Tor stealth, Tor security, torsion, Tor saber, Tor explosion, and Tor's heavy weapons. Together, they constitute the Tor Squad. Life is full of suffering, and if the Tor Squad wants to advance in the world, they'll need to escape slavery. So the first thing they'll need to do is leave the slave camp. One by one, they follow in line, and here they go, escaping slavery. Let freedom ring. Here comes the Tor Squad now, making their way, for they cannot be stopped. Clipping through enemies. We are exiles, living in Diaspora. Our journey begins with a walk across the desert, for there is much land to be traversed. Behold the humble example of Tor Squad leader, not above, but among his men. Our diaspora, though undeserved, is retribution, for the mortal coil will no longer tether us, but rather we use this as an opportunity for learning. Yes, learning. We can overcome our mortal needs through this crossing of the desert in Exodus, for there is redemption in our suffering, and there is meaning in our bondage, our captivity. Sure, there are some who would scorn and mock us, tell us we aren't cool enough to hang, and we need money right now. And, oh god, we can use this opportunity to buy some food. Well, as luck would have it, these hivers have food on them and a couple of limbs. I can sell literally everything that I have up till this point. And guess who just made 2,600 cats? And we can use all of that to buy one left leg and several ration packs we'll need. A pleasure doing business with you. We can divide these 2 ration packs among our men and eat them. We'll take turns eating the ration packs. How many people can we get to? Okay, we've used up all of both ration packs. Someone has a leg now. Who would like a leg? We have 1 leg. Who gets this? Is that, all right, Tor's heavy weapons has got the first leg. We'll need more of those, though. We also don't have anything left to trade. It's gonna be a while. It'll be a while till we get to town. Here goes the Tor Squad, making its way. Don't give up, keep going. There goes the Tor Squad, making its way and cresting a hill toward civilization. We are a symbol. We are a nation. And we are a sign that anyone, despite any limitations, can overcome impossible odds. But life in the wilderness is cruel, unrewarding, and full of danger. Our men will know the meaning of suffering before they cross the desert. There off in the distance we spy a fallen skimmer. With bated breath, the Tor Squad moves toward the deceased creature. Now, an opportunity at food, life, and preservation. Was it fate or was it meant to be? This creature's death is a boon of new life for the Tor Squad. Tor Squad leader will guide his men in probing the depths of this deceased creature. Now, a meal, a boon. Food and more meat for us. Praise Thor. O frabjous day. Tonight we dine in hell. And so rested the Tor Squad in their meal, their first victory. But there was no time to rest. From here we would move on. We left behind our campfire. Never mind the wood, the fire, or how we started it like this. Don't question it. We made our way again across the sand dunes. Again, the corpse of another unlucky creature here in the wilderness. We set out. The Tor Squad gathered again in celebration. More food. O frabjous day, Kalu Kalay. We had traveled a great distance, yes, but there was still much to go. The squad soldiered on, weary with their crossing. Fortunately, soon after we found more deceased bandits, killed by some traders along the way. We made our way to the site, there to gather more materials and food. Here, yet another boon. Others' failures were our opportunities. Others' sandals were our sandals. Others' mustaches were ours too. In this way we play Robin Hood. Thus, by taking everything from everyone, we managed to cross the desert and feed ourselves. We have overcome great odds. But this isn't it. This isn't the end. For off in the distance, beyond the heat waves and the sand dunes, lay the city of Heft, just over one more cliff. For the trial is nearly complete now, in knowing that salvation is in store. For my yoke is easy, but my burden is light. At long last, there in the distance we spy the city, the great walls of Heft. There, in our grasp, it's only a short way. Thus, being given a bone and gritting tooth and nail to the soil, we escape a life of bondage and make our way into civilization next. For we have overcome odds where many men, greater men before us, have died and given their lives. Now neareth nightshade, for just as God blessed David in his captivity in Egypt, so too will we be blessed in our time in Heft. Other men, introduced newly to our human condition, despair and give up hope. But we must press on, for we know our mission is hallowed. And as the sun rises in the desert, so do the hopes of our newfound journey, our newfound fortune. Upon witnessing the city, we see transgressions of violence taking place outside. Here we will spread our influence of humility and peace. They will see us and they will gawk in awe and fear at our human condition. But we will greet them with the pride and dignity of all mankind. For we in our community have overcome great odds, inconsistencies, and the disregard of man for his fellow mankind. So we speak with our hive allies, for they too are full of humility, an ally on our crusade of peace. Again, we sell everything we own for food. Not only do we obtain food, but also legs. Yes, more legs, for we will need them. We divide the rations, and again, we sup of our fruits. 2 legs. Tor's heavy weapons is the first to stand. Leading by example, Tor's squad leader chooses not to be rewarded with legs, but instead allow one of his men to receive the legs first. The legs are placed onto the ground, and instead Torsplosion will bear these first legs. Thank you, Tor squad leader. Truly you are an example to your men. Now, reaching the city, we are fully overjoyed. Led by our newly bipedal Torsplosion and Tor's heavy weapons, the squad follows in suit. Again, we make our way to the city. Upon witnessing our condition, the guards turn in fear and awe, for we are the modern-day version of Oedipus, the tragic symbol of fear and awe. And yet, we will bring hope to generations. We have arrived not at a home, but a haven now, and we are safe. For now. Here in the city, we will visit amply the robotics trader, for he holds the keys to our advancement. There we are. Hello, my good man. Don't mind us. And he has nothing. Alright everyone, right back out the door. We have some collecting to do now. We overwhelm the skeleton trader with sandals and hats to buy. Tusks, pants, other things that we don't really need. Before long, we are rich as Roosevelt, as they say. Now we will make an executive decision. With most of the Tor squad still unable to walk, we need to divide up. For Torsplosion and Tor's heavy weapons will probably do a better job than everyone else at collecting here. And we'll send them out. They're probably the only 2 that it's safe to send out, really. So we'll loot with them and have the rest of the squad just travel back and forth in the town to gain athletics experience. Believe it or not, up till this point in our playthrough, many of our squad members have already reached nearly 40 athletics. Once we do find legs, we'll be unstoppable. Until then, we bear some indignities in town, and we can loot all of the bodies outside for supplies. Torsplosion buys an arm, and now, entirely new economic opportunities open before our very eyes. We can expect Torsplosion to see great gains in his copper mining skill, all the while the remaining members of our squad begin to gather limbs, for they too will be upright again soon. Thus will we spend the first few weeks delivering food to the ones we still need to get limbs for. I can assure you that this is a completely not tedious task and totally engaging. Yeeting copper off the ground and nailing it out. Thus we spent the next week. First it was Torsplosion, then it was Tor's heavy weapons, then it was Tor saber. Fortunately, being difficult to see had its advantages. Unannounced, we entered the bar, and I began to sneak. Here I could safely make my moves. The rest of the Tor squad practiced stealth, and before long, we were instigating. Even if fighting was extremely difficult, we were improving. There, that was enough. Before long, I had a copper mining empire. So what if it took 2 weeks to get all the limbs we needed? Who cares if it was economically infeasible? Opportunities kept appearing day after day in ways that I didn't expect. If anything, I can tell you that this process is similar to watching ants eat an entire apple. But sometimes there are great opportunities, such as when I spotted a skimmer fighting a whole group of hungry bandits and then ran away. Ran the bandits to the city center and then watched as the city guards had their way with them, all the while profiting. I started to make a lot of money. Eventually, I happened upon some sand ninja and took their gear. But over the next weeks, we amassed a collection of tens of legs. At long last, I got it. A downed Garu pack animal. This was my big break. We had done it, and we made out like kings. This was not just good fortune, but an opportunity to start a new life. Weeks of struggling came to an end. We were saved. The day came to leave the city. It was a cause for rejoicing, sure, but also a cause of fear and trepidation. For in the desert, they say, the tempter makes his place of habitation. And so they left the city behind, now making their way out into the world. They were overwhelmed with a sense of loneliness and malaise, what lay in store on their journey to the promised land. And so, like Moses and the Hebrews, they were exiled to the desert sun. Gradually, in our desert crossing, we began to pick up speed. Survival depended completely on avoiding everyone and everything. But that's not to say that the desert crossing wasn't without its rewards. But in our crossing, we kept a good distance from almost everything. Other people? Nope. Walk away. Eventually, we just tagged along with a trader for safety. Disguises would make us indiscernible in foreign lands. We somehow managed to travel through a rock. Just through a rock. We fought a bone dog. Tor Savage was launched and flung in midair, levitating over everyone after the fight. And before long, the Tor squad arrived at its next destination during Exodus. There loomed the great walls of Hang, a bastion of slavers. We crossed the hazardous cliffs and made our way into the city. Now here was another store. Yes, a store. This was good, but mostly not good. With that, we did some laps, and then the wide open expanse of the desert. Hostile and mesmerizing in its size. But these men braved forward. Day by day, the Tor squad was exposed to unremitting savageries in the desert, and yet, through the profound example of Tor squad leader, the squad guided itself through the desert, each day bearing the Ark of the Covenant. And so, for 40 days and 40 nights, they crossed the desert. The desert crossing was cruel, harsh, and completely dry. Eventually, the sand gave way to salt. Day gave way to night, and the salt brought new assaults. See what I did there? That was clever, right? And the Tor squad built powerful alliances with nomads. Newly equipped, the Tor squad pressed on into the night. We were all full of compassion. Salt gave way to vast, expansive voids, crags, and pools of acid. This they weathered. At one point in the journey, Tor's heavy weapons despaired. For what else was there in this world for them? Well, the promised land lay in wait. But gulch by gulch, valley by valley, day after day, they made their crossing through the wasteland and the desert. One day it was mechanical crabs. The next day it was a literal sun laser beam. I can assure you that there was absolutely no save scumming during the journey. Never once did the sun smite them, and day after day, Apollo in his chariot rode across the sky, blessing them. Not once were we attacked and devoured alive by beak things. We were not chased by hordes of hungry bandits. Eventually, this all gave way to an oasis. Night begat day. Day beget night. We saw 1,000 suns in our time on the sands. Therein I confide in you, we stayed the course, and soon we reached the promised land. A land flowing with milk and honey. A land of lush new shades of green, of opportunity. I could but weep, recounting the end of our time in Exodus. For this, we had climbed every mountain, crossed every valley, and we made of ourselves a nomadic people for this time. So much in store. A babbling brook and a cool, fetching grove by the water, domestic livestock, infrastructure, and the trading capital of the free people, there in the distance. We were saved. Again, here we would start a new life. We entered the city, weary from travels, and ready for a rest. We sold all that we owned, yes, all that we owned again, and set out almost immediately for what really mattered. Legs, we needed them. And then, so many legs did we acquire, for they had many of them. We put all of our legs on the ground and divided them among us. The first was for Tour Squad Leader. The next was for Tour Science. There were legs for Tour Explosion. All things said and done, we raised our speed from 6 to a whopping 8 miles an hour. This may not have been much, but it was enough for now a light jog. We were making progress. This would finally be enough to perform the most basic of tasks, employing my favorite cheese tactic where you anger the animals and run them back into the hub. Since we couldn't afford to do anything else, we merely spent the day sneaking around the town, learning to become more elusive. We snuck out of the town, we snuck back into the town, and eventually we had become ninja masters. This could be exemplified through our Naruto running. Notice Tour Stealth, even though he doesn't have arms, is running like Naruto. In this way, we trained day after day. Despite the fact that Kenshi has so many options, people insist there's really only one way to play this game, folks. That is obviously by always running to stronger allies for help. And so we watched from the rooftops as stronger allies fought for our money and our economic future. This is completely not an exploit and not what anyone ever does in the game. Afterward, we didn't gather the supplies from them and sell them on the black market. The only real positive to having this many men is that they can do everything in one looting run. With these disguises, we would be completely indistinguishable from real dust bandits. Again, we traded, selling our appropriated weapons in exchange for specialist legs. Now finally, after all of this work, we were moving at a whopping 12 miles an hour. In real life, this would be translated to constant 5-minute miles. Yes, and they didn't even look winded, not one bit. Now, we could fight dust bandits and actually win. This became an extremely profitable way of making money. Other faction encounters were also worth, as you can guess, a lot of money. So we survived, picking out what little was left. But it was a start. It was incredibly exciting, invigorating. After all, the secret to winning wars is just having allies stronger than you, fighting enemies weaker than you, and winning every battle. For in the art of war, Lao Tzu highly recommends winning the war before the battle has begun. Like the American credit card industry, it depends upon buying things before you have the money. But it was time to complete one last task. I would need speed, and I had speed. I had a lot of speed. There lay a fortune of beak thing eggs. Let me tell you now, I took as many as I could. Fortunately, beak things are not able to fit through doors, and I barely made it inside. But it was enough to heal. And the hivers actually defended me. They hated the beak things. This was all enough to make a fantastic profit off of the hivers. But they also charged outrageous sums to sleep in a bed. I made a handsome profit. And then I came back for more. I was willing to take it all. Yes, I may have altered the course of hiver civilization, but... oh shit, this one got into a house somehow. Both of them got into the house. Alright, that's enough. There will be peace from now on. I did the last of my business, and then I bid the trader adieu. This is finally enough to get each squad member at least 1 arm and 2 legs. I can't tell you how many hours that took. Probably 12 hours. But now we hold the light of the future, for we are the chosen people, and the next chapter in our journey will bring us far beyond where men of this day go. We'll leave it there. Until next time, I hope you enjoyed. As always, a majestic thanks goes out to my patrons. You are the limbs upon which I stand, and I can't thank you enough. The next chapter in our journey awaits. Join me then. As always, I'm Ambiguous Amphibian. Goodbye now.